What's going on, guys? Welcome to Pam Unfiltered, the spot where we spill the hottest celeb tea, break down and review all the reality TV chaos, get real about the latest trending news, and of course, so much more. So let's get into it. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pam Unfiltered. I'm so happy I'm talking to y'all right now. This is like my happy place. It's been a long week for me at work. I mean, I should say a week and a half to be all the way honest with you. One of my coworkers, shout out to Paula, she went on her vacation and I was covering for her. It was a lot, y'all. I didn't think it was going to be because I used to do her territory and my territory for over a year and a half, almost 2 years. But man, was it a lot for me this past week and a week and a half. I was just like so drained, mentally drained, leaving work late. Granted, listen, y'all, 3 days out of the week, I do work from home. 2 days, I do have to go into the office. But to start work at 8:30, finish at 6:30, it's just like draining. I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy that she's back. Let's the load off of me. Oh, man, was it draining. I'm so happy it's Saturday, but it's quickly going away. Is it just me? Or like we rush to the weekend, but the weekend goes away like that? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. When it hits a specific time on a Saturday, I'm like, up, the weekend's over. Like around 4, 5 o'clock on a Saturday, I'm like, up, the weekend's done. The weekend's done. We'll be back. We'll be back at work on Monday in a jiffy and back to the bullshit. Is it just me? But anyway, let's get into these topics that I have for us today. Can we talk about Love is Blind first? Love is Blind in the last couple of years have been a total shit show. So season 9 of Love is Blind USA was released the other day, right? Granted, you guys, I did not watch all of the episodes that were pushed out. I've only watched 2 full episodes and I watched maybe about 5 minutes of the 3rd episode. I have a YouTube channel, and on that YouTube channel, I do recap Love is Blind. Hence why I've only seen 2 episodes, because I really have to go in and listen and all that other nonsense to recap it. But I just want to talk about Love is Blind in a whole. I'm gonna say maybe the first 3 seasons of the US were good. But like after a while, it just started to become more drama than what it should be. When we first watched Love is Blind during COVID, and we saw couples like Cameron and Lauren, for a lot of people, it was just like, oh my God, I want that kind of love. I love watching this show because it brings 2 strangers together who, were sight unseen and they fell in love with who they were. And then the appearance really didn't matter. But y'all, as the years went by, it's just been becoming a shit show. Hey, did y'all see Love is Blind France? If you have not seen Love is Blind France, please go watch that. A mess. A mess. Was it enjoyable? Yes, it was. But for the sole purpose of Love is Blind, it was a shit show. Those women on that season, straight bullies, except for 2 of them. The 2, oh gosh, they're both Asian. One married a white guy, the other one married a black guy. I'm trying to remember their names. I don't remember their names. But the one woman that I remember was what was it? I was gonna say Miss Lisa. I do remember her too. I believe that's the one who didn't get chose. But one of her little friends, Kim, the lawyer. Oh my God, what a bully! What a bully! The young black woman. Well, I shouldn't say she's young. She's around my age. I mean, we're still young. Let's be real here. But the successful black woman who owned the salons, delusional, mean, nasty. Get it from her mother. Her mother was nasty to her fiance. I'm not gonna say too much. Y'all go ahead and watch that if you want to watch this show. But anyway, let's go back to what I was saying. Love is Blind has been a mess, and it has changed so much. Like, it's no longer about finding love. It's all about the drama. And I really needed to get back to where it used to be. Granted, I'm the type of person, if I find somebody, I find somebody. I'm not desperate for a mate, right? But I do like watching it for other people. I do love seeing people who want it find it and just, live their life with their mate. I do love watching that. The mess, I can take the mess here and there, but the sole purpose is to find their soulmate, their mate. And I really think Love is Blind needs to get back to that. They specifically choose people who are clearly not ready for marriage and clearly needs to see a therapist. Like, let's be real here. A lot of these people that are on these shows need to seek a therapist to sit down on the couch. It's crazy. Let's talk about Love is Blind season 9, right? Again, I only seen 2 episodes. But baby, there's one person on there that I can't watch. It's so cringy. And it's the single Edmund. If you guys seen it, then you know who I'm talking about. Edmund, the booger eater. I can't get over it. I can't get over that this man that had the audacity to go on camera and say he eat his boogers. Now, he used to as a kid, but he could, as an adult, still eats his boogers. His boogers, y'all. His boogers. What? And when I saw him match up with that black girl, what's her name? Calibria. I think that's how you say her name. Calibria. I was so devastated. I was devastated that this woman had to experience this man. He comes off very awkward, very nerdy, very weird. And there was this one particular scene that he was in the male quarters and he was laying on the floor, kissing the floor. And when I saw that, and there was another guy, I forgot his name, but he was like, yo, dude, like, what are you doing? Why are you on the floor, putting your mouth on the floor? Like, people walking around here with their shoes, all kinds of things going on. Why are you kissing on the floor? He's like, oh, it feels so good. When I saw that scene, I knew him being geeky, him being weird was all a ruse. This man likes attention. Now, granted, he did talk about his past, how, he was in and out of foster care because his parents just couldn't get it right. But it's clear as day that this man seeks attention and validation. It's just, if y'all have not had a chance to watch it, please watch Love is Blind season 9. But I ain't gonna front. When it comes to the pod episodes, they're very boring. The conversations to me like drag beyond belief. Love is Blind. Producers, editors, if you by any chance stop by this podcast, it's fresh and new. I'm not getting a lot of listens. But if you so happen to stumble upon this podcast, I need y'all to edit those pod conversations to about 3 minutes. I don't need to see 2 people talking for 10 minutes. You're losing me. I truly find myself picking up my phone and looking at TikTok while they're having this conversation, which is crazy because I recap it. So just imagine trying to listen to these conversations. They're boring. I'm on TikTok, so I'm not listening to it. So then I have to go back, and these episodes are long as hell. These episodes are literally an hour long with no commercials. Torture. I'm telling you, torture. The moral of the story is, go watch Love is Blind. It's good. But please get back to the moral of the show, the whole purpose of the show, and that's love. Majority of these couples don't even last. I think, and I'm only solely talking about the USA. I think there's only like maybe seven couples that are still together. And the most success out of the marriages was season 5 when they were in Seattle. You have Tiffany and Brett. You have, what's his name? Kwame and Chelsea, and then you have Bliss and Zach. Those 3 couples are still together, right? Then you have, of course, Cam and Lauren. You have oh my God, it's another couple. Why did I forget their name? That girl was a hot ass mess. They're still together. They just had a daughter. I forgot their names. That's so sad. Who else? You have the last couple from DC. They're still together. You have Alexia and I think that's her name, or Alexis, And her man, I can't stand her. She's a bully. And I'm trying to remember if there's any other couples. I'm missing some other couples. Kill me now, but it's not a lot. It's not because the show lost its way, and they really need to come back and bring it back to where it is, and that's for love. Tell y'all something. Every dog will have its day. It might not be in the time frame that we want, but it will eventually come. And I'm talking about Mr. Diddy, who ran the motherfucking city. We all know around this time last year, he was arrested on RICO charges, pretty much, on drug trafficking, on human trafficking. And he's been sitting in jail ever since. Now, it was around, I would say maybe, I'm trying to remember when the trial started. I think the trial started like the end of May, early June. And it was supposed to end the week of the 4th of July, which it did. And y'all, I was so excited about this trial. Listen, I grew up in the 90s. I grew up with the East Coast, West Coast beef, Biggie versus Tupac. I grew up on all of that. I was in my preteens. I was in my preteens around the time, because I remember when Biggie died in 96, I was 13, and he died a couple of days before my birthday, right? So I remember all of this. And I remember the stuff afterwards. You know, with him and J-Lo, the whole situation, Shine in the club, all the wrongdoings he's done to his artist on Bad Boy. I remember the whole thing prior to all of this, when he was working as an intern with Uptown, when he had that event here in the Bronx. I remember all the wrongdoings this man has done. And for years and decades, this man scathed by. But again, every dog has its day, and his was when he got arrested last year. So he gets arrested last year. His trial is this year during, like I said, end of May into June. And I was excited. I want to hear everything this man was doing. Everything that he's been doing has come to light. Everybody who protected him, all the celebrities who was around him, knowing that he wasn't shit, and let him do the things that he was doing. All this stuff come to light. But can I tell you something? The prosecution dropped the ball. This man was only sentenced to 4 years in federal prison. Why? Because the prosecution didn't do what they were supposed to do. They arrested this man on these charges, but never presented the evidence about it. When I first was listening to the trial, I was listening to like Armand Wiggins and Don Lemon. Shout out to those two. They did a good job, specifically Armand Wiggins. But as the weeks went on and me listening to his breakdown, everything was solely about his sex life. I thought the first 2 weeks was him, the prosecution building his who he is as a person, right behind the Diddy, take that persona, who he is behind closed doors. Let's see who Sean Combs is. And I was like, yes, they had Cassie on the stand for like a week or so. They had Kid Cudi. They had some other people on the stand. I was like, yes, let's clock it. Let's Clark it. Let's see who this man really is. But as time went on, that's all they were talking about. They kept bringing up so many different people about his sex life and the gigolos that Cassie was having sex with, and who this other person, Jane Doe, how they was getting down. I mean, that's all the whole entire trial was about. I was just shocked and knew then that he was going to get off. I was like, this man going to get off. The prosecution team did not do what they were supposed to do. So he gets sentenced, right? The week of the 4th of July. So from the week of the 4th of July till yesterday, the prosecution team had to come up with ways to get Diddy to stay in prison, because they dropped the ball on what they really charged him with. So they tried to go with what they had. The proof they had was his sex life, with prostitution, the way he, treated the women that he was with. That's what they went for. That's what they went by, right? Now, the defendant team, Diddy's team, tried to get him off with like 14 months, I believe, time served, because he's been in there for quite a bit. Well, no, about a year. About a year. So they try to pretty much get him to do, plea sentence to, for this time served. But the judge was not having it. The judge says, no, that's not going to happen. We're definitely going to be including some coercion that he did with the women. And he granted the prosecution team to include those little itty bitty charges and sentenced to him 4 years. They tried to go for 11. They wasn't getting that. They wasn't getting that. But they charged him 4 years in federal prison with time served, by the way. And there is no indication. I looked, you guys. I looked, he was sentenced to 4 years, but it didn't say that he needed to serve 4. So we don't know. Is he going to get out in the next year? Will he get out by 2027? We don't know. He is devastated. This man thought that he was really getting off to the point he booked a booking in Miami for next week. The audacity of the rich. Honey, when the prosecution team brought that up, the judge was not happy. I'm not going to lie. I think that kind of swayed him to give him some prison time. I'm not going to lie about that. Like, how dare you? You're not even sentenced, and you think that you're going to book a booking in Miami and you still in prison? I got you. You won't be making any appearances. But yeah, he's now in jail. He's going to be transferred to a federal prison because I believe he was in Brooklyn at some detention center, because our prison here in New York is Rikers, but he wasn't in Rikers. He was in some Brooklyn detention center. So he'll definitely be transferred to a federal prison. I don't know which one. I don't know if it's going to be the one up north in, upper New York or somewhere else within the country. I don't think he's going to serve much. Again, he was granted, time served from the year that he's been in there. And again, it doesn't say he has to do all 4 years. And if his lawyers are going to do their job, he'll probably get out in another year. And he also, I almost forgot to mention, he also has to pay a fine of $500,000. What is that? What is $500,000 to someone who's almost a billionaire? What is that? $500? $5,000? That ain't nothing. You can write that check, pop, 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 and that's it. Who knows what's going to happen to him after the fact or even during the times that he's in prison? Will he get a lot of lawsuits from, victims or whoever was going on, whoever else was in his life during those times, during the sexapades or whatever the hell you want to call it? I don't know. All I know is he got off easy because the prosecution dropped the ball. And I'm highly disappointed because we have, I believe her name is Letitia, right? We have her whose conviction rate is untouchable. And y'all should be at that standard. And they weren't. And that's what I'm disappointed in. But yeah. What? Yeah. All right, y'all. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video. The story, the headline that's been going on all this week, and I'm talking about Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. Child, these two were going at it this week. They were going at it. And I'm just sitting here as, I guess you would call myself a middle-aged woman. I guess I'm a middle-aged woman, whatever. As a middle-aged woman, viewing another middle-aged woman, I'm talking to you, Nicki, go back and forth with a 32-year-old was bothersome. Let me bring it back to you how it all started, right? So about 3 weeks ago, I would say 3 weekends ago, 3 Fridays ago, Cardi B finally released her second album, Am I the Drama? And this past weekend, Billboard announced that she is the first female rapper to have her first 2 albums debut at #1. Baby, when that announcement came out, Miss Nicki was not happy. She was not happy. She took to Twitter. She started spitting facts about what she accomplished. And it was just like, Nicki, this has nothing to do with you. This woman did not mention you. Why are you so threatened by this woman? Why? So she goes and she mentions, about Pink Friday. Pink Friday sold 228,000 copies in its first week. Technically, Cardi B did not sell 200,000 copies of Am I the Drama the first week. It was technically 199,600. Listen, give it to the girl. She's 400 copies shy of 2,000. Come on now, please give it a rest. And while she's talking about these things, here comes Cardi. Cardi rebuttals. Listen, why is she talking about me? Like, why am I in her mouth? She hates me so much, but why is she in my mouth? This is where it all starts, and this is where it just continues on, right? These two are going back and forth. I'm not going into too deep of the details because it was a lot, you guys. It started off on Monday night and it ended pretty much yesterday of tweets back and forth, specifically on Nicki's end. So they're going back and forth, they throwing shots at each other. But then it starts to go a little dark and it starts to get too personal. Nicki is talking about Cardi B and how, she spread her legs and she got pregnant with her fourth child with a down low dude, talking about Stefan Diggs. If you don't know about Stefan Diggs, does have an accusation of, sexually harassing a man. Right. So she goes in on that. And then Cardi B throws shots at Nicki Minaj, getting pregnant by therapist, and at her age, she went to a fertility doctor. Let me tell y'all something about when she said that. That kind of hit home for me. I ain't gonna lie. Nicki Minaj is only a couple of months older than me. And because I'm a woman of a particular age and I don't have no children, I've always wondered. I never got tested, but I was in a 15-year relationship and never got pregnant. So I always wondered if I had fertility issues. So it's just like, that kind of hit home when she said that. And it definitely hit home for Nicki Minaj. But she went back and she was just like, you talking about, fertility issues, and there's a lot of women who deal with that. I didn't deal with that, but you talking about that, and that's not the way it should be. But these two were going back and forth. They started talking about each other's families. Nicki talking about, Cardi B's like her parents. Then Cardi B goes in and talks about like Nicki Minaj's trauma with her family, with her mother, her father. She goes in on Nicki Minaj's brother because we all know he was convicted of sexual assault on his stepkids. Had to take a little sip on that. And they just kept going on. But this is where it starts to get dark, right? Nicki Minaj starts to talk about Culture, Cardi's oldest. Culture vulture, and it started to turn and calling this little girl ugly, which, by the way, she is not. I don't know where she gets that from. Talking about this little girl's teeth and gums and the ratio of the teeth and gums, which I found to be a little weird. First of all, as a grown woman who's going to be 43, why are you talking about a 7-year-old? Specifically, or I should say, especially when there's rumors about your child. Rumors I don't believe that are true, somewhat true. But why are you talking about an innocent 7-year-old? A 7-year-old, mind you, this is at the time where kids lose their teeth. Their main teeth are growing in. So yeah, her ratio of gums and teeth are gonna be the gums are gonna be more than the teeth. I mean, going in on this little girl. And I don't quite understand why, but Cardi B was not having it. Cardi B was ready to fight. She was like, yo, drop that Addy. Drop it. I'm done. You talking about my kids. This is beyond posting on Twitter. You need to see me. But Cardi B does mention, while you worried about my child, you should be worried about why your son is nonverbal and why his favorite color is number 5. Did y'all see that tweet? I couldn't believe she said that. I ain't gonna lie to you. My old brain was like, what's she talking about? What that means? That's some hidden joke. I had to go to the comments. And like, What she mean by that? But then I got it. It was a dig on him being quote unquote autistic, which I allegedly they say that he's autistic. I think he is, but I don't think he's a nonverbal. I think he's like on a low spectrum. If he is, that granted, there has not been any statement that he is. This is just alleged, in my opinion. What I feel like, because she kind of hides him. She hides him a bit. And she probably doesn't want him out there like that because he's a kid. But we still don't know Papa Bear's name. And he's like 5. Why? I don't understand that. But anyway, so they're going back and forth. There was a tweet that Nicki did where there was like a chain with all these gums and little teeth, talking about culture. It was just really heartbreaking to look at and to watch, to go in on a child because you dislike their mother. And by the way, does anybody know why Nicki doesn't like Cardi? I'm not a rap girl, somewhat of a rap girl. I love me some Little Kim and only Little Kim. But I will listen to a Cardi B song. I will listen to a Nicki Minaj song. I will listen to a Meg Thee Stallion song. I will listen to a Glorilla song, But that rap is not my genre that I will always gravitate towards. But what started the dislike of not liking Cardi? I don't know, but I think I know why. Y'all know about Nicki. Y'all know the rumors. You're not a girl's girl. And it all started when she first came onto the scene and Little Kim was there. Everybody was like, oh, this chick is biting off Little Kim. She felt the way about that, which, come on now. There was evidence that she was. Let's be honest here. Little Kim was raunchy. We had Little Kim. We had Foxy Brown that was raunchy. All other rappers weren't like that. MC Lights, Queen Latifah, all the girls from the 80s, a little, maybe in the early 90s. Then you had Little Kim out there talking about, how many licks do it take to get to the center. If y'all have never heard of Little Kim's first album, please go listen to that, because I got that album when I was 14 years old. My father was in a fit. He was like, what the hell are you buying this album? But anyway, you had Little Kim that was very explicit. You had 16-year-old Foxy Brown that was really explicit. 15, if I'm being really honest with you. And then you had Missy Elliott, who, hello, she was definitely not on that train. Then here comes Nicki Minaj in the mid 2000s, similar to Little Kim. So of course everybody's going to compare to her. I don't know if Nicki Minaj has ever been a girl's girl, or that's where it started. But I think that's where her issue is. I don't think Nicki is a girl's girl. I don't think she likes competition. And I somewhat understand why, because when Nicki Minaj came out, she was the only female rapper that was really out there. She ruled female rapping. It was her. There was no competition until Cardi B came out. Another New York girl, another raunchy girl, a lot more ghetto, and a little bit more palatable. Granted, they both not, Nicki Minaj is not a dark-skinned woman. She's not a light-skinned woman either. But you got Cardi B here, who technically was out there for a while. She was a social media girl. You know what I mean? She had a fan base. She was on Love and Hip Hop. Her fan base grew even more. She was extremely likable. She came out with Bodak Yellow and hit the floor running. This was Nicki Minaj's first real competition to her number one spot. And I think that's where the problem started. I don't know if she thought maybe Cardi B was going to kiss her ass. Cardi B is not the type to kiss anybody's ass. And she felt some sort of way about that. I think that's where it started. And it continued on to the other female rappers. Nicki Minaj does not get along with any of these people. She don't get along with Cardi B. She don't get along with Meg Thee Stallion. She don't get along with Ice Spice. She don't get. I don't know if she gets along with Lotto. I'm not too sure about Lotto. I don't really see her with Glorilla or talk about Glorilla, but a lot of the other girls she don't get along with, and I think that's an ego thing. I think it's a jealousy thing, and I think it's an ego thing. That's just my opinion. I also think that Nicki is miserable. She's not in the place she used to be. Again, she used to be number one. She used to be the only. Nobody could touch her. It's not her anymore. Let's be real here. It's not Cardi B either. The top female rapper right now everybody loves is Glorilla. But you see the difference between Nicki and Cardi? Cardi's not downing Glorilla. She not treating Glorilla nasty. She can share the spotlight with her and other girls. She's not like Nicki. I don't know if you guys ever realize, I'm going to close out with this. I don't know if you guys ever realized the transitions that happen in the industry. And when I'm saying this, I'm talking about music, I'm talking about acting, I'm talking about sports, I'm talking about modeling. You are hot in your 20s, maybe early 30s, going into your mid 30s. But if you notice, a lot of the artists who start to become in their mid 30s on, they start to dwindle out. I don't know if it's a industry thing where they're just like, we're not going to invest you anymore because you're kind of getting older. We need something hot and new. But it happens in every part of the entertainment. And let's be real here, Nicki Minaj is going to be 43 in December. The ship has sailed. She's auntie now. She's not the hot commodity. And quiet as it's kept, neither is Cardi B. Cardi B is 32, 33 years old. She about to be out on her way out the door too. Look who else is happening too. Drake. Drake is about to be 40. What happened to his last couple of albums? They wasn't hitting because he's making his transition to being an uncle. There's hotter, younger rappers that people want to focus on. And as an adult and being in that industry and seeing it from people prior to you, Lil' Kim, Jay-Z, let's go with some singers, Ashanti, let's go with some actors. I'm talking about actors from my millennial age. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Jessica Biel. All these people were hot in their 20s, maybe their 30s, and you don't really see anything about them anymore because they're older. But you know what? These people adapted to what their situation is now. And I feel like Nicki has not. I think Nicki's still angry about how the way the industry pushed her to the side. And this is where all the anger comes from. Because even outside of her beefing with Cardi B, she was beefing with everybody. She had beef for Gayle King. She had beef with the Breakfast Club, Democratic Party. I mean, this woman sounded like she was on a nervous breakdown. But I just wish her all the best. I wish that she would just, continue just to do her music. She does have an album that's coming out in March. Let's see you push that out there. Let's see you market it. Continue on doing what you're doing. Will you be that young hot girl? No, because you're not young anymore. And that's okay. You're an icon. Live in that. Live in that and collect your coin. You have to adjust. I need you to adjust, sis. Let the youngins have their day. Because in 10 years, they're going to be where you were at, where you are right now. It's all right. But these two, I'm going to close it out with this. But these two did, after the back and forth with the children, I'm going to come back to it with the beef. The two did put out a statement apologizing, and both of them talking about their children. Do I believe that was from the heart? No, I think people on the side, PR, was telling them like, y'all doing too much and it's not a good look on your career and let's issue these statements, and they did. But I don't know. Nicki's still going on and on Twitter. Cardi B has ended it. We'll see if she's going to say anything else. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of my podcast. I definitely was rambling, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will see you guys in the next episode. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, definitely give me a thumbs up. Let's talk about this in the comment section. Definitely subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. That's it for today's tea on Pam Unfiltered. If you love the drama, the gossip, and the real talk, hit that button, like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. I'll see you in the next one.